You're still using which phone plan are you using?
Republic.
Republic. Yeah, my brother's been looking for a new phone plan. Been looking into things. Although I don't think he wants mine because he uses a lot of data.
Actually, you probably don't want Republic if you use a lot of data.
Yeah, it's like because mine's like yours. It's like it's low, like a little bit of like you pay for data, but the rest of it's flat.
Yeah.
Although
some of the new guys are advertising, is it Cricket or one of them, unlimited data? We know what that means. Loosely translated, unlimited data means they switch you to 2G.
4G data.
T-Mobile has a plan where you have 100 minutes of call, but they give you, I forget what it is. It's like 20 or 30 gigs of 5G, and then unlimited after that at like 2G, which if you use a lot of data, if you use a lot of data, that would work. I mean,
how much is that?
No, you try traveling around and using 2G. No, you try driving around. No, 2G just doesn't.
Well, if you're driving around, yeah. But
2G is horrible for data.
It is.
That's
bad.
Patty's phone switches down to 2G, and when it switches to 2G,
it's over.
Oh, you might as well just go and find McDonald's to get Wi-Fi because.
Still, flat for that much data is not too bad actually, compared to a lot of other plans. Better.
Well, when she's on the 4G stuff though, it's nice and quick and fast. It works pretty good.
What's your limit?
Small because I'm cheap.
Yeah, well, we knew that.
It's 500 meg.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could probably get by with 500 meg.
She doesn't really need that much data. And we've got Wi-Fi. So.
What am I averaging? Okay, I'm not going to use that much. I mean, I'm averaging about. Let's see, 25. Okay, that's pretty consistent. So it's about, and I pay about like her, so it's like half a gig. Okay. All right, I'm fine where I am.
Yeah.
So the Republic's what, about $30 a month now with 1 gig.
I think so, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And
I know they've upped the plan I'm on is $15 now.
Okay.
I'm still on the $10 plan because I guess I'm grandfathered in.
They got us. They screwed us. I'm on the 1 gig plan now.
They did add one thing to the. I guess they did add something. It's the same thing still. They haven't made any changes, but they did add one thing to the 5 plan, and that's you can add other people for 15 per. So I don't really have anyone to add, so it doesn't matter to me. But
so if you want to put the family on it, 15 per, how many?
But it's all shared data.
It's shared data though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not using that much data,
if you got kids and you keep them off the data.
Yeah, if you have kids,
yeah.
No.
Blow it out. Man.
Yeah.
So what's Patty's plan now? The cost?
16, 17, something like that.
17, and it's okay.
It's okay. I'm considering
dropping Republic.
Yeah, because I know eventually they're just going to
go be like the rest of the guys.
Yeah, well, they already are. I mean, look at the new plans. It's exactly like everybody else.
Okay.
And they're not going to let me. They're not going to let me activate a phone on the 10. If I get a new phone, I've got to go with the $15 plan. And if I go with the $15 plan, I might as well spend an extra $2 and get some data out of it.
Now these new guys were talking about a Wi-Fi only plan that was $0.
I have no idea. Well,
on these, what's the name of it?
Text now you could do that,
Text now, yeah.
but you've got to only be connected to Wi-Fi.
Only Wi-Fi.
Only Wi-Fi. You won't get any.
Oh, you don't get any voice floating around. Oh, okay.
That's a bit tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for a phone plan you really want at least some voice, because it's kind of hazardous to not have it.
That's why I'm on the $10 plan, because I said if I am out somewhere and I need to make a phone call, I don't want to sit and hunt for a Wi-Fi spot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And $10 isn't bad for that.
Yeah.
Like 22 gigs.
But
So 60 right now. What Republic has done, and they've gone legit. The old Republic was a little iffy. If you traveled, you had issues. I had issues with this in Utah.
I forget, whose network are they on? I'm trying to.
Well,
they're
Sprint.
Sprint.
Okay.
I think they've switched to T-Mobile though.
They've switched, yeah.
That might be an improvement, actually.
It is.
Because I know I feel like we get better, at least around here, we get better T-Mobile than, well, I guess it really depends which neighborhood you're in.
When I was traveling a lot, my Sprint phone worked everywhere, but my T-Mobile phone was absolutely horrible. Now it's probably flipped since then, but because I know that stuff flips around, but I absolutely hated traveling when I had T-Mobile. Just hated it. But I could go everywhere with the Sprint. Anywhere I wanted to go, Sprint just worked. And I guess Verizon can make a very similar claim to that.
True.
Text now?
It's on Sprint's network, and it doesn't quite work as well as Republic as far as the switching and the handover between Wi-Fi and the cell network.
Yeah,
But it works. It does basically does the same thing.
Yeah,
I get Sprint, T-Mobile, and U.S. Cellular. Who are they again? I don't know who that is.
Old company.
Republic, when they went away from Sprint, they got a lot better data-wise. Data was much more reliable.
Yeah, so you may have noticed, because I've never had a data plan with Republic, so.
They went legit with their data, and if you went to 2G, you're just done.
I haven't had any data problems except the only time I've had data problems is, when was it? Okay, I guess that doesn't count. I was in Italy at the time.
Oh
and
no!
then I got data problems.
Yeah.
I didn't get call problems. I had voice and text everywhere, and then I had weird ass data problems.
That doesn't really count if you're not in country.
My data issues, all I do is download audiobooks from the library, and on 2G I couldn't do that. I could not.
By the way, they're still selling I don't know if anyone wants one, but Google is actually still selling the Nexus 5X and 6P, but it's through, they're not selling it to the store anymore. They're selling it through, they're selling it, their remaining stock through Fi right now. And I think Amazon still has them. I think there's still quite a bit of them. I'd recommend this thing. It's a pretty nice phone.
Is it cheap?
No. Oh, okay. You're relatively speaking.
You're out of the ballpark now.
They reduced it to about 200.
It's not bad.
Not bad. 200 for this. Honestly, it's the best I've used so far.
And who's the service, or can it be on any service?
It can be on any. There's unlocked ones of this. They're still selling them via Amazon and other stores. They stopped selling them through the thing because because they're putting out the Pixel phone, which is kind of making a gap, which I guess doesn't matter too much because they're still selling these. But
Saw a good deal on Samsung Note 7.
oh, has anyone tried the? I've heard good things about some of the OnePlus phones. I forget. Did one of you guys have one of those?
We're Moto heads.
I don't know anything about them. I've heard interesting things about the company Blue that makes phones. BLU or BLE or something.
What about the Apple phones? Are they any good?
They're way out of my price range.
Oh, okay. They're price range problems, huh? Are they good?
Now I've got price range problems at that point.
When you get to you, price range, yeah. Big
Well, now we know they're if they're out of his price range,
No.
they're way out of our price
We'll
range.
cease talking about them here.
God, like my cutoff right now my cutoff is about like 300.
But do they sell superior phone, or is it just superior bucks and apps?
Not particularly.
No?
The phones, I don't think they're any better than. In fact, in some respects, they may actually be worse phones than what you can get for Android for the price.
Well, it's not even the same thing because it's like, I mean, this is only like 200.
Yeah.
That bracket. So, well, compared to most phones in this bracket, this one kicks ass. But I mean, because the camera is actually really damn good. And my only issue is this is the 16 gig model and it doesn't have an SD card slot. So, well, that doesn't matter for me. But
that's what they did with the X. The original X didn't have an SD slot.
it doesn't matter to me too much because I don't really store photos. I don't really store that many photos.
I put everything up on the cloud. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
He's got an SD chip.
But like,
Doesn't matter.
I mean,
SD.
at the iPhone's bracket, you're looking at like, how much is that?
It's 600.
600.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ish.
They don't have a 200?
For that, you're looking at things like, well, I guess obviously the Pixel or some of the higher end Samsung.
Okay.
The HTC 10.
You can get
Things like
what I'm saying though is you can get a very, very nice phone, a very affordable phone, way cheaper than
Apple.
an Apple phone,
Yeah.
and it would be comparable in
I
spec.
definitely agree. Yeah.
The biggest problem I've got with Apple, and Google has done it a little bit now recently, it's how much they've locked it. I mean, you've got to jailbreak it if you really want to put
Yeah,
your
if
own
you're
software on it.
If you got a jailbreak, it's kind of an issue.
And they protect you from yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by jailbreak? I don't understand.
Well, it's basically doing the same thing as rooting your Android phone.
What now?
Rooting it.
If there are certain like not really mainstream apps that you need root permissions to use, or
There's-
in Apple's case, anything
Admin
that they don't approve of to start with.
which makes sense given
Lets
the
you closer
environment.
to the OS, the operating system
So
itself.
I guess for that, one of the, I guess on the opposite end of the spectrum is like I have heard good things about the OnePlus 3 on the Android side. It's not cheap. It's 400 bracket, but it's 400 bracket and their support's not very good, which is kind of a problem. But but I've heard a lot of people have been getting those because you can load a lot of custom ROMs on the OnePlus 3 for whatever reason. I think it's because their earlier phones used to run almost exclusively on cyanogen.
Yeah.
But then they stopped doing that and they moved to Oxygen. But I think it has something to do with that, where it's like their build is very generic, so it's like they're actually compatible with almost all the custom ROMs out there. So.
I'm actually not I don't mind rooted phones, but mine's running stock. I'm running a stock OS, and I don't have any problems with it. But it just seems like, you know, the manufacturer telling you you can't do this or whatever. I've got a problem with that with Apple. I could root this if I wanted to. I mean, you know, at this point, no one would care because it is way past the warranty period and everything, and no one would care if I rooted it. I mean, even Republic, they don't want you to. They say they're not going to really support anything if you break it yourself, but they don't care if you root it. So
aren't the new? Oh yeah, that is coming up. Like, isn't Apple due for a refresh on their other stuff that's not? I don't know. Does that include the MacBook?
Probably. I don't really keep up with Apple stuff.
I might actually check some of their stuff because I actually need a new OS X machine for compiling iOS stuff.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with Apple stuff too much.
We were looking for someone to defend Apple's honor, but we found no one. And you're not going to jump on that either.
I will on OS X, but not iOS, because OS X is actually really good.
OS X is
that's the thing.
BSD-ish.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a Unix-ish machine underneath with.
See, I would agree with that too.
Usability.
I kind of like iOS, not iOS,
X,
OS X.
which is like weird because it's like the total opposite direction.
But I hate iOS. I just hate it. And it may have something to do with the fact that it's Unix-like.
The DirecTV story is still the same as last week. Still having good luck with it. I noticed on the AT&T bill, what I've seen of it, what I can glean from it, that they do have the option to bill you for data, but that's probably because they do phones too. So hopefully they're not going to bring data charges. They said I'm saving $30 a month with my package for $30 worth of data. Well,
propaganda.
Yeah, one thing. iOS does file-based encryption a lot better than Android. Because Android did come out with file-based as of Nougat. It sucks. Stick with FDE.
So, you want to?
Well, you should already be on that anyway. So I guess that's not really a negative. That's just a lack of a positive. Full disk.
DirecTV, right?
Yeah.
AT&T, right?
Yep.
Can you get a free phone?
I don't get phone service from them.
Oh, okay.
I have Magic Jackson.
Okay. Because they were saying that I heard it advertised on television to give you a free phone.
Okay. The phone it's probably a wireless phone, a cordless phone.
Internet phone.
Yeah. Internet phone?
It's like Magic Jack, except it goes with the
VoIP.
yeah.
VoIP. Okay. Yeah. Their service, their phone service is $9 a month.
Okay.
With their VoIP service. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's with the package though. It may be different outside the package, but I think it's a regular price.
What version? Does anybody run Red Hat or CentOS?
Not for a long while.
Yeah.
I used to. Not for any particular reason though. I mean, I just haven't had a reason to use Cent in a while.
Well, it's the same as Red Hat.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing any of this because I've been fighting with my email server. It's 98%, and it's got its latest version of Qmail and the latest version of Red Hat 7. Mostly there's something called System D which is a way that they start things up. And if you don't know, you have to learn all of that and
Screw system D.
and configure the service.
That's gonna be inappropriate.
And the instructions that they have out there are just all messed up.
I still don't understand. I don't know. There's various things in both Debian and Red Hat that now use system D to start up, but it's like, and now there's stuff that's getting off of it because honestly it's balls, but it's
a learning process.
I don't understand why. I guess never mind. I'm preaching to the choir on that one because I guess a lot of people don't understand why. It's like init scripts are not that hard. Why do you need system? And never mind. there's my opinion on system D.
You tend to learn a lot of stuff about things that you just absolutely don't want to know about.
But no, I don't consider system D to be worth learning much about unless you need to.
If you use the latest version, you have to use system D.
There probably was a time when system D made sense, but
yeah.
But I think we're getting to that point
now
where,
it's like,
where it doesn't really make that
now,
much
now
sense
it's
anymore.
like now I'll grant it system V or init scripts are a bit convoluted, but now
Yeah.
there's better ways to manage them. So it's like that's kind of evaporated.
Yeah.
So it's like the former usage is kind of.
I had to edit some of those system D scripts, and then you have to compile them or something at the end, and then it doesn't work, and you go, why didn't it work?
When you go to Google, hours and hours and hours.
Bang, done. The only issue is sometimes the load order. But
When I finish, I'm going to have to write some notes because I'm forgetting all of this stuff
Yeah.
that I'm learning.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, if making something for if I was rolling something and it needed to run as like and if it needed to run as a daemon, then I wouldn't even start it on system D anymore. Just back to init scripts.
There'd be other ways.
The DirecTV thing, back on that again, I won't give it up. What I am getting into is I'm finding out that 2 years from now I'll probably go to some other platform because, and the Genie that you're using that you paid nothing for, and the bridge which you paid $100 for install, and the mini Genies that distribute everything and makes your world wonderful with the remotes. You can buy the mini Genies for $100, but they have to set them up, and they have to authorize them, and they charge you $6 a month. You can buy them. They will. You can set them up yourself, or you can pay $100 to have somebody install it. But they still charge you $6 a month. So it's kind of got a little thing to them. It's not outside their realm. You can't just do that on your own. You still got the 6 tuners, and it looks like they're going to hit you with equipment charges. So as soon as probably after my 2-year stint with DirecTV,
You'll be back where you were.
I'll be back with, but there's Dish also. So I have Dish, Time Warner Cable. I may go back.
Rotation.
Yeah. And as long as my health holds out, then I'll be flipping back and forth. And I'll learn to leave the wiring up from Time Warner Cable. But you know they'll put that in for free, but you end up with extra junk.
Why not?
Yeah. But the cycle's been so long, you have to switch back and forth. Looks like the game, because it looks like they're going to jack it way up when 2 years is up. Okay.
It's quite a rig you got there, Leroy.
Yeah. You ready to go, Leroy?
I don't know.
It's pretty impressive there. Pretty impressive hardware there. You got a wire nest started. Good wire nest. That's one of the better wire nests.
I don't think I'm missing anything.
What's on the back end of it?
Battery.
Wow.
Big battery. I was going to try to run the motors off of 5 volts. So I've done very limited testing because all I had was a 5-volt battery. It sort of worked. It acts like it's going to work,
It doesn't work.
but I don't know if it's going to work because we've got the 9-volt going now, so we're going to hook it up and see if it actually works. But it's supposed to, the TI board, the Launchpad, the multi-threading, ping sensor. I haven't really programmed the screen to display anything, so it's just doing a little demo. Then
Is that actually the same frame from last time?
no,
No.
That's the
This-
big
And
white-
I'm thinking,
white-
I don't think I've seen that
this
frame
is the
before.
quad Rover. So on both sides, the motors are actually flipped upside down from each other.
We were doing the tail draggers before.
4-wheel drive?
No, it's the way I've got it configured right now. It's still just 2-wheel drive, but all 4 wheels
Can turn.
are spinning.
How does it turn? I don't think I've seen
So-
that one before.
So if so you see.
I mean,
Motor
like,
generator effect, the permanent magnets. The
Yeah.
other wheel will turn.
But wait, do the
They
wheels have any
connect
play in them, or is it?
Yes,
Okay.
there's some play.
Okay, there's some or you're basically kind of just skidding to get around.
And that too. What I have actually done is, in order to make it turn, so these wheels will turn, so I want to turn left. These wheels will start going forward, these wheels will start moving backwards, and it sort of turns in place to the left.
So it is going to be dragging quite a little bit.
Sharper turn.
Yeah.
It seems to work. Actually, when I was doing it with the 5 volts, it was doing this number, which was kind of neat, but wasn't right.
I wonder if it'd be an easy way to do that. Like,
Well, I've got it set pretty fast right now, so we're going to have to watch it to make sure it doesn't roll. I also put encoders on it. I'm trying to keep it going straight. Those haven't really been tested because, like I said, it really hasn't. It moves a little bit at 5 volts, and then it just sort of stops and sits there and goes.
So why is it, okay, 5 volts?
The motor driver,
Dying at 5 volts.
the what?
Why is it dying with 5 volts?
Oh, because it's the motor driver, that same board that's in
You got
the
2 of those motor drivers on?
just one.
One? But we had the thing running before with 6 volts,
9 volts.
9 volts, okay.
It's a 9 volt. It's a 9. The motors are 9 volt motors. They'll work down to 6-ish. I was just trying it at 5 just to.
you think it should just become tracks?
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
It's the same idea as tracks. If you had.
I guess if you actually put a band around it, you wouldn't have these 4 points. Well, I guess you'd kind of still.
Well, if you put a band around it, you could eliminate one of the motors.
True. Yeah. Well, actually, if you eliminated if you eliminated 2 of the motors, and I guess you'd have to cut it. Would that work? I'm trying to picture that working.
Before with 2 motors.
Well, it only had the issue is because you got 4 wheels, they can't really flex. It's every time you turn, you're kind of dragging a lot of rubber around. Which
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked. It's
But-
like, it's
but
like a
If you had a tread around the 2 wheels, you could eliminate 2 of the one motor on each side, and this wheel would be turning this wheel. So the idea now is both wheels are turning.
Yeah.
They're semi-independent, but because of the way they're wired up, they should be going relatively the same speed.
And before we only had 2 wheels. dragger.
with a tail dragger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now what do you get with 4 wheels? I'm just talking practically.
Well, you can't tip over
You get a cooler.
where
You get a
got two
cooler
wheels
machine.
missing. Like,
It's fun to play. It's bigger for one. Of course, we can
And
be
if you're-
bigger with
if you're
2
carrying a
wheels.
load, if you were carrying a load, it would be better.
yeah.
And I am actually. I don't think the small one would handle that battery sitting like that on it. Just
like, I guess potentially if you install the other thing is that since you've got 4 points of contact, you don't have those 2 angles where you're going to tip over.
yeah.
The thing with the trikes is that
Yeah, potentially you could flip one of those over, but I think the biggest thing is it seems like it's more complicated, but it's actually simple.
So what are you doing with your threads? Because I see the scanner, you got the display.
The display.
What else do you have on it? The wheels.
So,
Are the
I'm
wheels
going
just on
to
a
steal
separate
the.
thread?
Yeah. Yes and no. I'm stealing the Chromecast, maybe.
Okay.
Cast to stop the casting. Start the casting. Yay. I've actually only got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads running on this one. And really the display isn't doing any. It's there. And the first thread is just like before. I just used it for setup purposes, all the variables and everything. So it's really not doing anything either. The motor thread is the one you're curious about, and what I've got going on here is I've got it checking. So the ping sensor is always pinging, just ping and then come back. And I'm trying to do an average this time, so I'm getting 50 pings and averaging that out. Seems to be working, but the motor thread is actually the one that's checking what the ping sensor is saying and saying how far away it is. So the motor thread's now going to change the pulse width modulation on the motors
Based on the ping.
based on the ping. The encoder thread.
Is the ping in a different thread than the?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Then I also have an encoder thread running. Well, the encoder thread is doing counts, and all it's doing is counting. There's no interrupts being used. So what I'm doing is I'm checking for transitions. So every time it goes from a high or a low, it counts that. So every single click. So the encoders have 20 spots on them, so it should be 40 for complete rotation.
So what are you doing with the count? Just collecting it?
It's being in the motor thread. I'm checking.
Yeah.
I'm checking it. So if I've got the left side of it set as the master side. So if the right side's going slow, if the 2 counts are equal, then it assumes that both are moving the same direction. If one side is too low, if the right side's too low, then it's going to say more pulse width modulation to the right to get it back up to what the left's doing. If the right side's too fast, compared to the left, it's going to say less pulse width modulation and slow it down.
Can you use those counts to say, let's say, drive to the end of the table based on the counts, turn around, go back to the other end and stop?
In theory.
Okay, why wouldn't it work? I mean,
It
may be a
should.
little bit off, but-
It actually should.
Yeah.
It's not the way I've got this one set
I
up
know.
for them.
I'm just thinking kind of, because when I think about this thing with all the threads, the end game is to have a mission.
Yeah.
And when you got all of the stuff that you're taking in, it makes it possible for you to say, well, I want to have a mission to do something.
So I'm not keeping total count of how many times. I actually reset the counter every rotation or so. I'm doing it over a period of time. I'm doing it half of a second. So every half a second I'm checking to see if the numbers are the same or different.
But if you kept the count, let's say, and you get a count of 5,000 or something, and you
I
know
actually-
roughly you should have gotten somewhere.
I think you would have to almost keep an average count. So we could say, yes, 500 would be 1 foot, or have to figure out what it actually would work out
And then
to.
you got two things working for you. You've got the count. You've also got the ping sensor. And you may have to compare it at some point. But
Yeah.
you could use it to drive a mission with more reliability.
I would think so. So you could say, if 1 foot at this speed is 300 count, then 2 feet at twice the speed should be 600 or whatever it is. But I think you'd have to do an average because there's two different encoder wheels,
So
and they may be different. If one's going faster or one's going slower.
and it may not be exactly, down to an eighth of an inch or something like that, but if you're within an inch, then
You should be able to get pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close to.
Well, if we were saying, I don't know what it would be, but if we were saying from this distance is 400 count, which it wouldn't be. That's way too many. We should be able to say go 400,
Yeah.
and it end up somewhere
and then
in that neighborhood,
and then turn left and go 200.
and it should end up. Well, and then you should be able to actually make it come back to its starting point, or somewhere really close to it.
Feel like the distance going forward is going to be consistent.
Yeah.
Would turn left be consistent?
You can make it consistent, yes.
You can make it close. It's going to be
Well,
sticky,
it's-
and you might have to do some
I mean,
tuning.
isn't going to do the.
Well, let's see what it actually does.
I'm
I feel
thinking
like you need to
Leroy
do
just
that
saying,
or
I got this stuff in here. And I'm saying, if you got that, then you do this and do that.
What I've actually done is when it's turning left or right now, I'm not checking the encoders at all. I don't care. I just want it to turn left or right. But for the purposes of making a box or something, you would want to be able to check the encoders. So you would have to know if this wheel is moving this direction and this wheel is moving this direction, what should my count be to get 90 degrees? See what I'm saying?
Huh.
So it's actually a little bit of a playing around game. So you hook up the serial to the serial port and say,
Like, I feel like it would be difficult to do that without some physical intervention, because like, depending on the surface you're on, it's like
it would be different.
It's yet
because your wheels are hopping a bit.
yet another variable.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like that would be
And
an
that's-
easier problem to solve than trying to like account for the hopping.
Well, that would be another reason why you need to make an average, because if you are on a different surface,
Compensate for the surface.
try to anyway.
Well, the surface matters because the wheels are hopping.
Yeah.
Think
If
about what you're doing on
if you can
Mars.
stop the wheels from hopping, then your measurement becomes a lot easier to do.
But the way that the only way that I know is just to start taking measurements and see what you finally end up with.
Or if you've got
You
wait.
probably could figure it out mathematically, but I don't.
You know what? Well, actually, that wouldn't work indoors, would it?
With a
If you got a
tangent.
compass, it doesn't matter.
Right. If you've got a compass, it doesn't matter.
Although it wouldn't work indoors. Would it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it work indoors?
Well, it would. Well, I guess you need a compass, and you'd have to calibrate to account for. Well, actually, no, that should work fine. That's a known problem.
It would work just fine inside.
Yeah, screw the measurement.
Yeah, and that's actually just another thread. Plus one of Jim's.
Actually, the compasses that me and Jim have been using work beautiful inside, and they would be perfect for that problem. You could just measure it for 90 degrees.
The motor isn't going to screw with it.
You'd actually have to put it on a stick about yay high, about a foot high.
I guess it really doesn't matter too much, because if you're just using it for turning, then it's like the only thing that matters is to make sure you don't have anything it's sticking to that's mounted on you. If it's sticking to like the nearby thing, it doesn't matter. You're turning, so it's serving.
As long as it's getting good.
As long as it's sticking to something.
Yeah. But no, the way to fix the compass with the motors causing problems is put it on a stick about yay high, and it works fine. Yep. So really, the motor thread is doing most of the work. The other two threads are just basically doing counting and range detection. So the motor thread's the one that
Right now.
is doing all the math and going.
Right now. But see, what you have is a self-aware vehicle.
I don't know.
I just do that.
I have a vehicle that I hope actually
it'll be so self-aware that you put a voice recognition thing on there, and you'll say, "Car, come here."
Yeah. It wouldn't be hard to do, but you want to see if it actually does what I think it's going to do?
Okay, you might as well go with that.
Okay.
We can dream later.
So, like I said, I set the motor speed pretty high, so we may have to watch it.
What do we expect it to do?
What I expect it to do
Keep it from falling off the table.
is
Turn.
it's going to be an obstacle avoidance deal, and it should, if it sees something in its way at about that distance or so, it should turn and go somewhere else. But the motor speed, I've set it pretty high because 5 volts wasn't enough to turn the motor, and I didn't reprogram it, so let's turn it on. Maybe. Come on.
Light came on.
Woo.
Wow, attack.
Huh.
So it's not doing exactly what I thought, but it's
I noticed it's revolving, like its axis of rotation is like very close to the rear wheels, actually.
Yep.
I wonder if you could just.
It doesn't want to respond to those sensors.
You know what?
There it goes.
I guess because the battery. I guess because the battery's probably putting the center of gravity like right over the
It's
rear
just
wheels.
bouncing.
Does it take a long time to recognize?
Apparently it's taking a long time
Yeah.
for it to realize that there's something going on.
So
No.
your threads are not communicating.
Whoa,
You have
turn that way.
You have a delay in the communication of your threads.
It's ignoring your hand. To get right
Well, it's not ignoring it, it's stopping.
It just takes a while to
doesn't-
figure it out.
It's not turning. Like,
God, ran into me. And still won't recognize.
well,
Okay, now it's a delay.
There's a delay in
recognizing it,
there.
It's just taking a bit to turn. Like,
There's a delay. See, now it's going to realize it.
there
Now it's going to
we go.
respond. So Leroy, explain the delay.
I have no idea.
You got some lights on there, don't you?
I actually did have an issue with it reading this ping sensor. Do you know what the delay may be? Because I'm trying to do averaging.
Wait, why would the averaging do the delay?
A lot more calculations.
Because it has to count all those, it has to count.
He doesn't have a math coprocessor.
Oh.
It's not that, but it
Have
takes more cycles.
Have you timed that, or like?
No, I haven't.
You continually.
This is actually the first time I've seen it work.
You're continually doing this averaging, right?
What if you got like a, would a median work?
A what?
A median?
Explain it.
Do calculate a median instead of an average.
Well, wait, so.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, well, if you've got a bunch of the values you're averaging,
Yeah.
like, counting to if you have a total and then counting to a median might actually be faster than trying to take an average, because it doesn't require a vision operation. But I guess.
What's your sample rate?
Yeah. I guess on the other hand, it might not be the same as the average.
Yeah, what is the sample rate?
Or actually, it might be better than the average.
Well,
Well, no.
If it's a second, okay,
Yeah.
Well,
It should be less than a second.
We're trying to arrive
But if
at
it's
like a
that
number.
long,
that's too long.
Yeah.
Needs to be 0.2 of a second max.
well, that's the
And then your
problem.
average it, if you do 10 samples, then you're up to 2 seconds.
yeah.
So
And so you're up on the hand and you're still
That's-
moving while you're calculating.
That's the problem.
change your
It's
sample
average.
time.
It's average,
Well,
or-
you could. Well, you don't want to change the sample time because then you might get like.
Just make it faster is all.
You,
Be a faster average.
You could cut out some of the numbers from the average, like
Yeah.
like take your. Take
I could cut the average
out
in
the
half.
top, take out the bottom, and take out like every other in between, and then do your.
Easiest thing is change the timer and see.
Well, it's the same thing.
Well,
If you took out half of the sample, it's the same as cutting it in half.
Okay. Which is easier?
I would tend to
I'm
kind
talking
of
about the
lean towards
ease
cutting
big
out
factor in my
numbers
life.
from the calculation rather than trying to change the rate, because changing the rate does affect what numbers you're getting. Whereas like cutting out the samples.
Well, and the other thing is, I'm also counting which we've all already said probably shouldn't do, but I'm also counting the sample times, or
Encoder?
no, not the encoder, the times when the ping sensor goes out of range. I'm counting that. So
What kind of encoder are you using?
it's just those little wheel encoders. Oh! Broke the battery.
Which wheel has encoder?
Both of the front wheels have encoders on them.
Let's see.
There's a
Okay.
shortcut for this.
What?
It's just an optical encoder.
Okay, this is a little paper things.
No,
Plastic,
there,
probably.
it's just one of those little plastic.
Normally black plastic, but there's.
Oh, I see it. I
right
see it. I
there.
see it. I see it. Yeah. I see it.
It's got holes in it, so at one cycle it sees the light, and at the other cycle it doesn't see the light.
Okay, I got it.
So it's just a IR pair, basically. Those seem to work
Did
pretty.
you buy those?
Yeah.
From who?
I found them on eBay. They were
It wouldn't-
99 cents.
It would be a lot. Yeah. Okay, I don't have any of those.
They work pretty well. See where they're sitting at? They're sitting pretty low. That's where they work at. If you try to shove them clear up in there, then they don't work. That's why I've got the black tape on there, because I didn't have anything to hold them in place.
You got them right on the end.
Yeah, if they're here. So we'll turn this back on.
If they're too close in, you can't You had no place to secure them or something? Or you had no room to put the sensors?
For whatever reason, if they're too far up, they don't read anything.
Oh.
So you'll see a green light in here when it's turning. So yeah. So if we push that up a little bit, it'll break it. I'll have to rejigger it. But if we push that up a little bit, then the green light doesn't come on.
So it has to be out toward the edge, is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? Okay.
You see what I'm saying there, Frank?
Mhm.
So they're a little bit picky about where they actually need to set at to read those encoder.
As we would say, you had to hold your mouth right.
Well, that's kind of why the tape's on there, just to hold them where they belong. I didn't really have anything else to hold them in place.
Okay, you gonna
Actually,
do
wait,
anything?
how are you doing the average, actually?
Probably not the right way.
Wait, are you getting all the numbers and then, like, adding them together and then dividing them, or?
I'm doing a for loop, counting up to 50, and then the ping goes inside the loop, and I'm just adding them, and then I'm dividing them when the loop is done.
Okay.
So probably not the right way. Probably the longest, slowest possible way I could do
You could
it.
do a rolling one.
So when did you get this working?
Do what?
When did you get this working?
2 days ago.
Oh, wow, you had a schedule. This kind of thing that happens on the day of.
Yeah. I had an idea that it was going to work. Apparently it's not exactly right. And apparently, maybe if I took the average out,
Well, you
it would have worked
like
better.
Because technically, I wonder if you could shortcut that. Because I guess technically you don't really need to have all the numbers to do average. You need the total and you need the number of numbers. So you could do a rolling thing. Well, actually, I guess potentially you could do a rolling thing where you just keep adding them, and just incrementing a counter and then using that. I don't know how much that would cut out though. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that would work, because then it would always have a number for.
The only issue
For the
with
wheel
that
drivers.
the only issue with that is getting rid of the old ones. Because since you don't have distinct numbers anymore, it becomes hard. A bit tricky.
So every time it makes a left-hand turn, every time it turns, we throw all the ping numbers away.
Actually, yeah, you could do that.
Yes,
That's a definitive input.
I love
You
it.
don't need any more of that. So go ahead.
We'll try that.
Roll those and see how much faster that is. Because
I love it.
You only need to. Well, I'm not entirely sure if it'll be faster. I do know you'll be using less memory.
Well, if
I'm not
I take
entirely
the
sure
battery
if that-
pack home, I can play with it and see what it does.
So yeah, just go ahead as you're doing, get your values, add it to the same value,
So
and then increment a counter, and then use that total and that counter to get your average. I mean, I've done that to save memory, but I don't know if it'll make it any faster in this case. And now I'm misremembering. Dang it. I keep trying to thinking there is a way to get a fast approximate average, but I don't quite remember how it works.
So the speed of the processing here is,
it's 48 megahertz.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I think it involved getting a
But I think that's where the holdup is. I think it's in that
taking
average.
like a rounded thing and then taking some subtractions, and then that's like
So
faster
is this the
than
replacement
doing the divide.
design for the Bitty Rover? You can sell that to Ray?
No,
It's a different purpose. The Bitty Rover is probably more flexible. Well, it's a different
it's
need.
different. Yeah.
It's just a different need. The
I-
Bitty Rover is real easy to steer, and it has no steering problems. This has got steering issues.
I think part of the issue is because there's extra weight in the back.
No, you could have done this with the Mega.
Yes. Just as easy.
The only thing that you gain is this notion of the threads.
The only reason why I'm using that is because we've been talking threading and doing
And you can
parallel.
somewhat simplify the software. Okay.
The one thing that I like about this particular board, it's got a ton of I/O on it. It's got a lot of pulse width modulation pins, a lot of pulse width modulation pins. I'm actually thinking about replacing the Mega that's in the Hero with that thing because it can do, it's multi-threading.
Yes, and you probably will need less processors.
Oh, by far, if I
synchronization is going to be better.
I'm actually thinking that if this was around a year ago, that's what I would have stuck in there a year ago. So this is just kind of a it works, it does this. It's a good test platform for moving it into the large robot. That's probably a good processor for the trash can transport because it's multi-threading capable,
Well,
which means you could set it up for error detection and collisions and everything else and have it.
You could do the threading, or you could do the multitasking with the real-time operating system. So you have two ways of doing it. How much power does this thing need in the process?
Not much.
That's right. It was low power. Yeah, it was low power.
It's low power. The thing that actually uses quite a bit of power on it, I think, is the programmer, which is the thing that's up above it that the USB cord is plugged into. And all those jumpers on there, you could disable the programmer. I think the programmer actually is using a lot of power. Uses more power than the processor.
You know, I ordered that. What was that other chip? The Yun. I actually ordered that. It came in, and then I'm saying, what can I do with it? Leroy said
You get Leroy, like Leroy is rubbing off on you.
I am. Frank's got a bunch of processors now. Doesn't know what to do with them.
You got to turn it over to Leroy.
Now, Leroy's already done stuff. Actually, I was looking for Yun projects. There's not as many of those as there are Arduino projects, so it doesn't give you the kickstart.
But it's running two processors. It's running a Linux and it's running an AVR.
No, it should be able to do a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And even if it's only 90% compatible, it shouldn't be that hard to make it.
I just need a jump start. I don't want to start from scratch.
We did. I did that camera thing with my own.
Which camera thing?
Had it taking pictures and sending the email of the picture that it took.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a good one to start with. I think I was using a camera like that. That's probably a good one.
It came in Tuesday, and I said,
you could do. You could. It's probably overkill for your garage door opener, but you could do something with it with the garage door.
Now, what I want to do with that kind of thing and the tasking on the Mega is just have the ability to have what was my word before? You have self-aware. You have the processor that's aware of the things that are around it based on these sensors. So whatever decisions you want to make about an application, you're just checking locations and saying, oh, this is what the value is. If it's 12 degrees, then I do this. If it's 12 degrees and I'm turning right, then I do something else. So you can kind of have these applications in here, and they would just be, readily changeable. As a matter of fact, it could be like the Matrix. You just download the new capability and you can do it. Oh, I know how to fire a machine gun on a tank. I just downloaded it.
Yep.
I got my hands, got my eyes. Program works with it.
Well, see, that's what I was with the Hero. Originally, he had the ability to play games. You put a cartridge in him, and he could play games with you.
Yeah.
Cartridges are, so 1980s. But if you put an SD card in with some little snippet of code or whatever, I wanted it to play games or stick this little snippet in there and whatever. And I was working on it. I've got some LCD games that I was going to make it so that there was a little port on it. You plug the LCD into it and you could play these games with it. But I never quite got that part of it done.
Well, it's a good challenge.
Yeah. I still think, the game thing may work better with the Arduino than with this, because this is a little bit more for the multitasking and the multi-threading thing. But I think this would work. This works fantastic for robot projects.
Yeah.
Just because it can do all that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to really think about you don't need to worry about that free RTOS.
Yes.
You just do it, and it, for the most part, it works. I just sort of copied code from the other project and said, okay, I need it to turn. Okay, let's turn. Now my averaging was wrong.
But this is version 1.
But
oh, that's what it was.
But by the time you get to
I don't think
version
that's
12,
applicable here. Yeah, so if you do low plus high, then bit shift to that's actually that only takes the low plus high. That's a midpoint, not really a good average. Okay, never mind. I had to go.
I like your idea of just doing a rolling average.
I think that'll solve your problem a bit better.
Yeah.
And block the zeros.
Well, it actually turns out to be -1 on this one, but yes.
Oh, okay. Handle a -1.
Yeah, there is a thing you can do for finding a midpoint where you add the low and the high, and then you do a bit shift operation to find a midpoint, which is actually faster because it's not actually doing division. But
so if you see a -1, put the max number in there.
Unfortunately, if you do that, then an outlier is going to wreck it. So.
Well,
because if it's not a low problem, it's a high problem.
Nope, not with. If you look at the way this code works, because this is not using a library. This is using just a code. -1 actually means out of range.
Okay. Too far. Does it mean too far or too close?
Yes.
Oh, great.
It doesn't specify. It's out of range.
So what you need is a floating average to see what it was last time before it went out of range. If it was high, then it was far, and you could put a high number in. If it was low last time, the average is lower, then you say it's too close and put a 0 in there. Okay.
Yeah.
If you
I see
look
what
at
you're saying.
Yeah.
So whatever the last number was, just put it in there again.
You probably want to do an average to kind of help, because there's going to be some funky areas in there.
Yeah. So
there's a second average going on.
If I was way away from everything, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a -1, it means I'm out of range far.
So I just take the current
the
counts
average.
and everything and just do an average.
Take your last average and use it to see if it was
Well,
if you were close or far.
with a rolling average, there won't be a last average.
It'd be every time what you're going to do is you're going to shove a number onto the pile, shift everything if you're doing that, or just taking an average and just use your average from last time. I don't know what the question is.
You could take an average out and then, well, wait, are you stopping after it turns or?
I think the counter needs to reset
Yeah, the counter probably needs to reset
after it turns.
Okay, so, well, it's rolling up until the point. Well,
But
it's not really a rolling technically. It's just
well, it's sort of a rolling.
it's a rolling add, then you divide.
It's semi-rolling. It's a semi-rolling average. But what you do is if it gets to -1, then you just take an average right then,
Oh, you could.
and then add that into the figures. So every time it sees a -1, you just take an average.
Now, when you had this in the mega, the response was very good. It stopped. So now what is different other than the threads?
The average?
Okay. So in the mega, you didn't use the average, and it worked better?
It seemed to. But every now and then it got itself
Okay,
off.
so that was why you actually end up going to the average, because sometimes it was off. And then
Because
another
sometimes it would see the outer range stop, turn, and it wouldn't be anywhere close to
Is that
a wall.
actually, I guess so. You see that particular point. Yeah, I probably could try to just make an isolated function or something,
Yeah.
and test the speed of just that and see if that works. That way you know if that's actually causing the problem.
The ping sensor's the problem. I was having some problems with the ping sensor anyway. When I played with this, I took the average function out, and everything was working great.
Okay.
I
So
put the average back
it's-
in. I know where the problem is.
Okay.
I put the average back in, and now where the problem was crept back up. So it's got to be in that.
Is there a better ping sensor
Yes.
at some kind of more reasonable cost?
No.
This was cheap. Now this was cheap, so that's why everybody buys it.
There are better ultrasonics, but they're not. They're expensive.
How much more expensive are they?
Expensive.
You mean like 10 times as much?
Maybe even a little bit more than that. Yes. The Parallax ping sensor, I've got a couple of them.
Mhm.
They only use one wire. They're expensive. They're 20 some odd dollars. And we brought one in here once, compared it with these cheap ones, and it was actually getting exactly the same readings. So I don't know why it's so much more expensive, but it's more expensive. But there are some better ultrasonics that actually get better readings, but they're expensive. They're at least 20, 25, 30 bucks.
I would do a FIFO. Effectively, I'd just say this one's equal to this one, this is equal to this one, this, and shift every time. Every time I cycle through, I'd do a shift, and I'd sum them all up and divide them by a thing every time. Value 1 through value 10. Got that? 10 values.
Okay.
Then I would take this value and move it down 1. Move the new value, or I'd take everything, shift everything down 1. Everything but down 1, down 1, down 1, down 1. 4 is equal to 3. 5 is equal to 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'd move the new one in.
Okay.
The last thing I do is move the new one in and always take these and sum them up and divide by the total. Divide by the count. If you got 10 of them.
That's a different idea.
That works. I mean, this is stupid. I've done this 100 times. In the real world, it works. It's stupid.
But, okay.
What's the problem? Okay. And the only problem you got now is the -1s. And then you can take your average and say, every time you do it, you shove a new number on the top. You move everything down, shove a new number on the top. It's just a FIFO. Okay, you're making a FIFO, and you're taking the sum and doing an average. Add them all up, divide by the total count. There you got a nice
Is
average.
that what you're already doing now?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
But that
Kind of
makes it
assumed that was
just,
already what you were.
yeah,
you
that's
were already
just dirt simple. I mean, and nothing like a rocket scientist figured out. I did it. And the only thing you got to do is when you put the new number in, if it's a -1, you just look at the average. What's the average? When I go to shove that new number in, I look at the average, and if it says -1, I take a high or low value depending on what everything was. If the number was high last time, then I'm going to shove up the max number in. If the number was low last time, I'm going to shove the 0 in. And there you go. And you just take an average of where you were last time. And that should fix your -1 problem. And whether it's high or low, you're guessing at whether it's high or low last time. Does that make sense? It's simple.
That'll work.
And hey, the simpler it is, the better for me. And I've done this. I've done this in the real world. That's the way I always did. I've done this in Assembler. I've done this in Fortran. I've done this on PLCs. And it works. It's just stupid. Dumb as a box of rocks. Done it on a stupid PDP 1140 in Assembler. Actually, I had the guy do it for me in Assembler. I didn't do it. I told him how to do it. I was running on a rolling mill, a steel machine, and we were getting noise on some of the inputs. I said, let me fix this. Add them up, shift them, shove them in there, shift them every time, do a FIFO, average them, sum them up, divide by 10, you're good. There's your floating average. Thank you very much. Done. And it worked. No more problems with noise.
You're going to throw the averages out though when you turn.
I do a FIFO and then do an average every time. Every time I put one on, every time I shift it and put a new one on.
Yeah, that's an actual rolling average.
Rolling average. It's just dirt simple. It works great. And filters noise out. That's the intent. And it worked fine on the rolling mill. It's worked fine everywhere I've done it.
Well, I think we're talking about the same thing, but
okay.
But I'm going to throw all the averages out when it turns.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's a separate thing. Like you can take a rolling average and then.
And when you turn, you can shove zeros in or shove whatever you want in, or just wait.
It just will zero out.
Probably just be zero.
Do you want to zero it out?
Yeah, it'll be easier just to zero it.
Or shove a high number in, assume it's long range and work from there, because that's going to make it go forward. Or what do you want to do when you turn? You want to be reading it anyway. You want to.
It's always reading.
You want to turn until the average gets high again, until the distance is high again. You want to turn. Just leave it on. You start turning right. You turn right so many degrees, and then if the distance is not max again or not high again, you're going to turn again.
Now you could do that.
That's what you should be doing. You could turn 5 degrees, and if it hadn't changed, you're going to add 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more, and 5 more till you rotate in the circle till you find a way out. Or you could stop and rotate. You could just rotate. That's true.
That'd probably actually be a little bit better, because then it's like you don't have because at least you don't have the runaway condition where it keeps getting perpetually stuck. Hey. Well, yeah, actually that would be better.
Okay. The other one that
you do need to turn a minimum of like 5 degrees, because you're going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to see this, and then you're going to start turning right, and it's immediately going to go, and then you're going to start going forward. So you do need to.
You won't go if like the other one. So it's facing this, and there's a wall here, and there's a wall here, and so when it turns, and it's still facing this wall, it's still reading that it's going to only be too far away, so it's going to turn again.
Well, let's
Or
look
too
back at
close.
this. If you just use the average and you're looking at this, okay, it's going to stop. Okay, then it's going to start going, and you get to here, and guess what? It's not going to see anything.
But it's still going, if it starts going forward, it's going to hit that.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm saying you can't turn it in. The floating average will actually delay a little bit. I wouldn't even count on that. I'd say you have to turn a minimum of this value. You got to get past this.
You have to set like, okay,
Well, that's-
you need to go a little bit further.
Yeah, you need to set it a minimum turn
Yeah.
to get it past this guy. So we got to set it to how many degrees you got to turn it? 10 degrees, 15?
I don't even know what this one was turning. It looked like
Yeah.
it was turning clear around on this surface, but on the at the apartment, it was only turning probably
So
about
it's got to turn. Just looking at that, it's got to turn that far to clear clear it.
Yeah.
And then we got a curved surface here. We got another issue, so I'd go even further. I'd
You
go
gotta
double
hope
that,
there's not another wall.
or do 90,
Turn.
or do a 90,
What you need
45.
are a couple of more ping sensors at 45 degrees each,
Yeah.
so that it knows.
I mean, I thought that's where you were going, because you had done that before.
I've done that before.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can do it that way, yeah.
Yeah, you put a couple more, or a servo or something up here, and
It gives
have
you
it ping.
a lot of flexibility if you have.
Although I
single sensors on.
guess it really depends if you intend on having a way to measure measure exactly how many degrees you've turned. Because once you got that, then the extra sensors become redundant.
well, and right now I'm
Yeah.
not concerned
Yeah,
about how
yeah,
many
fair.
degrees I turn.
So yeah, then the other sensors make sense.
So if it had a couple of ping sensors at 45 degrees, and it turns, and then it sits, and it goes front, left, right, nothing's in its way, go.
Okay, it could go to where the other sensor was pointing, and then go forward if there's nothing there. Still, what if it points? Okay, what if you have a sensor here, and it points, says, okay, there's nothing there, and there isn't, and it goes that way, and it's going to go bang.
Well, if it's facing this direction, though, it's going to go this way.
Oh, if you got something here, and something here, okay, you're going to
It's
go.
going to turn that way,
Okay, what if there's something there?
and then it's going to turn that way again.
It's gonna turn this way or this way, and if you got something that's off, if it's off over here,
Just use.
it's gonna say there's nothing here. Oh, when you turn, you should see it with this sensor. You're gonna have to say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you always use one of the rules. Either it's going to turn right or it's going to turn left.
And your other sensor, you could say if there's something there, it'd pick it up. Okay. 3 sensors ought to make it. Better.
Or a servo does 3 checks and moves.
It just adds some complication.
Yeah, but I've seen
Then you got
it.
a
I've seen it
timing
like
issue,
that.
and then it's got to go slower. With the 3 sensors, it can go
In
much
the short
faster.
term, the 3 sensors make sense.
Yeah.
But once you have once you got I guess it depends on if you consider this for the scope. Once you got a compass or something, then you don't need 3 sensors.
But you need to crack the floating average nut to first, and the outer range value. You got to crack the outer range value and get that working as best you can. Then you go to the extra sensors, because you're going to have the same problem with
That'll
them.
work.
And
You just see the other demo when I did this. I wasn't doing any averaging. I was just reading. This is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is. So
As long as you don't have too many bad readings, then you're fine.
yeah. And when I was doing it with the Mega, with the BittyBot, I wasn't doing any averaging. I was just reading it. But that's why every now and then there's something in my way, and there's absolutely nothing there. But that one was working pretty good for the most part. So
Now
I'm just
other ones
I'm
had
just doing something funky with the
Yeah, we never optimized that other one. It was quirky. It was quirky. The
What?
original, the thing we did in the Robot Day or Star Wars Day, that was quirky.
Well, but it's been fixed since then.
Hmm.
That was the one that I did not too long ago with the free RTOS.
Okay.
But I didn't do that with any averages. I just, whatever it was reading, it was reading.
Got anything in mind for next week? 3 sensors?
Where would I put 3 sensors at on that thing? I've got plenty of.
Put a vertical.
Vertical would work.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if there'd be a way to. No, it's ultrasonic, isn't it?
It's
Really
not going to
wide.
be. It's going to be more looking for more vertically oriented things. It's not
Okay,
going to
here's
have
a
the width.
weird question. Is there an easy way to widen like an ultrasonic? Yeah, okay, never mind.
When you say widen,
I
in the
like
pattern,
what would be the ultrasonic equivalent of a fisheye lens?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there would be one, but I don't know
that's cheap,
how it works. So whatever.
you get what you
I
get.
get the idea unless
It's,
someone comes up with
it's
it.
actually magic and amazing, the fact that it does work.
And it was only 99 cents.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it's just measuring when it bounces back, right? So I guess if you had like a.
So the speed of sound doubled and divided in half.
What about putting the sensors on the top level?
Yeah, maybe.
Because when you have
That's-
when you have the servos, that's what you have. It's on the servo and it points.
I'd have to rearrange how I've got stuff. Vertical might work though.
Or maybe
Yeah,
just
you could
enhance
actually
it.
put them
in-
all together in a complex. Is there a problem if you have them in close contact? If you put them on a stick, one
Not if-
this way, one that way, one forward.
I don't know why there would be if I'm only doing a reading off of one at a time.
Actually, you can make
See,
you
if
can make it four-way. You know.
if the
Are you sure you wouldn't need 3 at all? I mean, the purpose is to see if there's something in front of you. If you just had 2, I don't know, what's the,
It's one for right and one for left.
you know,
Depending on which way
and
you're
if you just make sure that they intersect before.
or you could do that.
Good, yeah.
I don't really know what the degree is on these.
Huh.
They're pretty straight, aren't they? These things really don't have a whole.
No,
They're not that wide.
yeah, they're not that wide.
Huh.
So you got a mechanical job.
How about 2 of them? Just 2 of them.
Yeah, that's what.
At 45 degrees.
Yeah, just at something. Well, 45 may be too. Depends on how wide it is, like you were saying.
Wait, you can
They're
force.
actually pretty straight, so
You can
you
force
agree.
them to intersect. Like if you have, instead of facing them outward, you face them inward and they cross the. So.
If you do 3, then
I think 3 would work.
A 2 would be a substantial. Now I had the doing the 2 and crossing them. I did that with the light sources.
Yeah,
looking at the light sources.
you can do that just to cover the metal. and
But
then
you
come out
just
both
have to
sides.
handle it. Yeah. The problem is where they cross is a problem.
Yeah. That and it's like doesn't sound like ultrasonic? Wouldn't that have like
It echoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember because now I'm trying to remember how sonics work. Like if you have 2 of the same wavelength and they
Well, they should be firing, like he said, separately. This one fires and that one fires, this one fires, that one fires. So.
And the demo that I did a couple weeks ago, I had all of them firing at the same time, but they were all pointed in different directions.
So doing this would be, when you got in this zone, it would swap on you, you'd have trouble. So you probably need to do that instead of that. Unless you make it cross very close,